Welcome back, Patriots, for another episode of the Bald Brad Show. It is officially Monday, September 16th, and we got a lot of news to cover. We're covering Kamala Harris having a botched interview with a local ABC news outlet. We got the updates from the previous Trump assassination that was about 2 months ago. And then, as all of you were with us just yesterday, Donald Trump survived a second assassination attempt, and we're going to make sure we bring you all the updates and everything you need to know about that, folks. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. If you're over at Rumble, folks, couldn't be more than happy to have you with us. Look, our live stream yesterday went bonkers. It went wild. We have almost 200,000 views on yesterday's live stream, folks. Couldn't be more than happy to have you joining us yesterday and having us be the place where you're getting your news. Well, let's jump into it. Like I said, we're going to look into a little bit of Kamala Harris here, the cackle, the psycho, the bambling buffoon. And, well, Kamala agreed to tape a solo interview with ABC station. Now, why did they do this on a local interview? And why did they do it on a Friday? Well, they did it on a local interview because nobody's going to watch it. Two, they did it with ABC because they rubbed the shoulders of Kamala Harris. If you didn't see our episode, I think it was Sunday morning, yesterday morning, where we talked about Kamala Harris's debate performance and how ABC News came out and said, specifically Lindsay Davis, one of the moderators that was with David Muir, openly acknowledged to the Los Angeles Times that they staged the whole thing, that they actually went back and looked at Donald Trump's old debate performances from 2016 and 2020 so that they could rebuttal him, so they can call him out on his lies, which there wasn't many, and not go after Kamala Harris. So they sat there and called out Kamala 7 times during the debate there just the other day. And sorry, they called out Donald Trump, but didn't call out Kamala Harris a single time. And so it came out with a whistleblower that you couldn't talk about Joe Biden's cognitive health. You couldn't talk about her brother-in-law that allegedly is embezzling taxpayer dollars. You couldn't bring up the fact that she was Attorney General of San Francisco and ran the state into the ground, according to the whistleblower's affidavit. So this whole thing was staged. The camera angles were staged. If you haven't seen that video, folks, it's in our video catalog. It was just uploaded yesterday morning. Make sure you check it out. So we have a few segments here of how she struggles to answer basic questions during her first solo interview. It's wild. And what you're going to see is a lot of these questions were the same questions she saw from the debate, but yet she's also giving very similar answers. It's really weird. And it's funny because it's not like they're hard questions.
Talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people. Yeah. What are 1 or 2 specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager. I grew up in a community of hardworking people. You know, construction workers and nurses and teachers. And I try to explain to some people who may not have had the same experience, you know, but a lot of people will relate to this. You know, I grew up in a...
What the hell is she talking about? And they're gone, what is she talking about? Well, I grew up with policemen and nurses and hospitals in the area and firefighters and teachers. So did everybody else, you idiot. What?
A neighborhood of folks who are proud of their mother, you know? And I was raised to believe and to know that all people deserve dignity. And that we as Americans have a beautiful character. And we have ambitions and aspirations and dreams. But not everyone necessarily has access to the resources that can help them fuel those dreams and ambitions. So when I talk about building an opportunity economy, it is very much with the mind of investing in the ambitions and aspirations and the incredible work ethic of the American people, and creating opportunity for people, for example, to start a small business.
Yo, again, we got a lot of new followers and subscribers, folks. I don't watch these ahead of time. I don't read the articles. You get real-time reactions from me, real-time commentary from me. And what the hell was that? Hey, could you tell us just a few things of what your plan and policy is? I grew up in a small town with nurses and teachers, and people need dignity. What the hell is she talking about? Well, it only gets worse for her, folks, because Harris can't name a single way that she is different than Biden. But remember, they're not tethered was the word that they use. They're not connected. Folks, Karine Jean-Pierre says every single week, no, they're tethered. They're connected. They're not that different.
There are one or two spots, policy areas or approaches where you would say, I'm a different person.
Well, I'm obviously not Joe Biden. And, you know, I offer a new generation of leadership. And so, for example, thinking about developing and creating an opportunity economy where it's about investing in areas that really need a lot of work. And maybe focusing on, again, the aspirations and the dreams, but also just recognizing that at this moment in time, some of the stuff we could take for granted years ago, we can't take for granted anymore. For example, another plan that I have that is a new approach is to expand the child tax credit to $6,000 for young families for the first year of their child's life.
Only for the first year, you guys. Everything else, by the way, is going away. The Trump tax cuts, say goodbye to that 3% on average that you were saving for your taxes. Say goodbye to that $2,000 per child that you got every single year. That's all going away. But don't worry, if you have another child, that's a way bigger investment than that initial $6,000. Well, you get $6,000 that first year. Every year after that child's life until they're 18, well, you're completely screwed. Good luck with that one.
Because that is obviously a very critical stage of development of a child. And a lot of young parents need the help to buy a car seat or a crib or clothes for their kids. And so my approach is about new ideas, new policies that are directed at the current moment. And also, to be very honest with you, my focus is very much in what we need to do over the next 10, 20 years to
Wonder.
What the hell is she? I really do mean this. What is she talking about? Well, I like an opportunity economy. What is that? That you give people $6,000 because they had a child their first year to buy whatever diapers, which is important. Don't get me wrong. It is important. But how does that help everybody else? Folks, they do the same thing. The Biden-Harris administration does the same thing. We fought Big Pharma. We lowered the cost of insulin. That's great. What about every other drug out there? What about everything else? Folks, this one went viral. She was fact-checked also on that whole military thing where there's nobody sitting there across the globe that's in active combat that has boots on the ground, some knucklehead statement. Well, we got that here because, like I mentioned, this went viral. Well, end of last week, over the weekend. Check this clip out.
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world the first time this century. What? But let's understand.
So where the fuck are we right now?
Now, I don't know if those guys got in trouble for doing that, but again, it just shows you the media's not behind Kamala Harris. The media is not, or no media, the military's not behind Kamala Harris. The military's not behind Joe Biden. The media is. The media is behind the Democrat Party, which is why they're covering up Joe Biden's cognitive decline, which is why they don't want to talk about the fact that she was Attorney General of San Francisco and ran it into the ground, allowed crime to flourish, which is why they're not talking about the alleged embezzlement from her brother-in-law of taxpayer dollars that's allegedly going to also be in her administration. They don't want to talk about all the negatives. They don't want to talk about the 320,000 children that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden lost at the border to forced labor, as well as sex trafficking. They don't want to bring those. Don't you think that's probably a big issue to talk about, that she's allowing terrorists to come into our country, which we'll get to. We got an update on that from Lindsey Graham. Wouldn't you think that that's a good question? Like, hey, why'd you allow 320,000 children? Looked it up yourself. That's a real number. 320,000 children, Kamala, to be sold off into forced labor, slavery, and sex trafficking. Like, why'd you allow that to happen? Doesn't even want to talk about it. It's amazing. The media does not want to talk about a single thing. Hey, why'd you allow 9.1% inflation that caused families to not be able to afford groceries for their kids? Hey, why is everything up about an average of 20% minimum? Why did you allow that to happen, Kamala, along with Joe Biden? Hey, why did you allow the Houthis to attack our merchant vessels and blow ships that are now at the bottom of the sea? Not just ours, but our allies. Why'd you allow that to happen? Why'd you allow them to attack our troops over 200 times before you did anything? Why is all this happening, Kamala? Why are you giving the leading sponsor of terrorism $10 billion of our money? Why are you doing that? Hey, Kamala, why are you giving the Taliban $87 million every single week that fought against our troops and killed some American soldiers? Why are you not giving that money to our veterans to help them out that fought in Afghanistan and Iraq? Hey, Kamala, what's going on with any of your policies? It's amazing. It's amazing how some dude in his closet can come up with all those fascinating questions that I think everybody would be interested in. Media, just blinding it, right? With along of all the Democrats, right? They want to shield themselves from the obvious. Well, somebody that's not going to let them shield themselves from the audience is not only the military, but also Tom Cotton here for blasting. Tom Cotton blasted Harris over the lie about American troops. We got that clip here for all you queued up. If you're liking what you're seeing, hit that like button. It really does support us. We're not going to play this entire segment, but I love the fact that he's going out there and he's showing people the truth. I would like him out there on ABC, NBC, the legacy media outlets other than Fox News, because look, the Democrats don't focus on Fox News. Him getting out there and whacking them upside your damn head is what we need.
Intelligence, Armed Services, and Judiciary Committees. Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Maria. Good to be on with you.
I want to get your take on the status check of where we are with 51 days before Election Day. And let me start with a soundbite from that debate last week and Kamala Harris making this statement. Watch.
And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century.
Senator, I guess the fact checkers took the night off. Your reaction?
Yeah, Maria, I don't know where those two moderators were fact-checking Kamala Harris with that lie, as with so many of her other lies. I guess they were busy wrongly fact-checking President Trump. Kamala Harris's claims that there are no American troops in a war zone, I bet would come as a surprise to the thousands of troops we still have in places like Iraq and Syria that are getting repeatedly hit by mortars and drones and other attacks by Iranian-backed terrorists, because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have appeased and emboldened the Ayatollahs for 4 years. It would probably come as a surprise to all of us.
By the way, we're not going to probably get to this story. We'll probably have to get to it tomorrow. But the Iranians, there is movement right now. We have satellite imagery of movement happening at one of their nuclear facilities, just to throw that at the Democrats again. So in the same way Barack Obama gave them $1 billion, gave them a pathway to build a nuclear weapon, Joe Biden sits there and basically emboldens that same idea. And now we have, it just came out yesterday or the day before, over the weekend, that the Iranians have movement at their nuclear facilities.
The sailors we have in the Red Sea who are facing the constant threat of missile attacks from rebels and outlaws in Yemen that, again, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have turned a blind eye to, that they took off the terrorist list in their first days in office after Donald Trump had put them on the list, that just this morning fired a ballistic missile into Israel. Kamala Harris's lie about American troops not facing danger in war zones around the world is just one more example of why she's a weak, failed San Francisco liberal who is not up to the job of being our commander-in-chief.
Absolutely correct. Everything he said there was spot on. She drove the state into the ground. If she's going to drive California into the ground, what do you think everybody else is going to, what do you think is going to happen if she's the president of the United States? She's vice president and she helped Joe Biden run it into the ground. You know, where's Joe Biden at, by the way? The dude's probably on vacation, kicking his feet in the sand of Delaware, looking at children and sniffing them. Well, we also have Kamala Harris here claims she won't take our guns, but signals she wants a ban. This is what they do, you guys. They're like a reed in the wind. You can never really decipher what the hell they're talking about. And quite frankly, I'm not even sure they know what the hell they're talking about, as we saw from that interview, as we saw from Joe Biden, as we saw from Anthony Blinken, as we see from John Kirby, as we see from Karine Jean-Pierre, as we saw from her predecessor, Jen Psaki. None of them know what the hell they're talking about. So we know for sure they want to sit there and confiscate your guns. And I'll tell you why. Before, the Democrats used to say, hey, you know what? We're for an assault weapons ban. And all of us, right, that are gun owners, right, law-abiding citizens, you know, patriots, we go, hey, well, what do you mean by assault weapon? That doesn't even make any sense. Oh, well, sorry, a weapon of war. Well, what does a weapon of war mean? I can use my military helmet and kill somebody with it, and that would be a weapon of war. I could stomp my boot on somebody. That could be a weapon of war. My knife could be a weapon of war. My belt buckle could be a weapon of war. Like, what do you mean by that? So this is what they did. They kind of obfuscated. They kind of made it very smoky what they meant because they were too scared at first. They were too scared to say they wanted to remove and confiscate your guns. But then not too long ago, Joe Biden gave a little slippity slip many years ago and goes, oh, I mean all semi-automatic firearms. That's every firearm. Because the Democrats, these progressives, they're unaware that you already can't get your hands on a fully automatic weapon unless you have a certain license to do so. They don't understand this. They don't understand that basically every firearm is semi-automatic. They don't know what semi-automatic means, folks. They don't even know what AR-15 means. It's wild. It's wild. I don't need to go on another rant here, but we have a clip of Kamala Harris during that same interview where she can't answer basic questions. The same interview where she was talking about how she grew up with a school with teachers and firefighters when he was asking about the economy.
I want to talk about your values on this issue. When it comes to gun ownership, where do you draw the line in America on gun ownership and gun use?
Well, like you said, Brian, I am a gun owner, and Tim Walz, my running mate, is also a gun owner. We're not taking anybody's guns away.
I don't think anybody in the chat over at Rumble and YouTube actually believes that. I don't think anybody actually believes that. They're reading, the same way all of a sudden she's for the border, right? They just flip on a dime after having a decade of pushing these policies of not building a border wall, of wanting to confiscate your guns, of wanting higher taxes. All of a sudden they're not for these things. You notice like in a matter of like 20 days, they went a decade plus of these basic ideology of their entire party, and then 20 days they just flip the script all of a sudden. And Democrats are like, hell yeah, the same thing that they called us racist for, they're all for now. Unbelievable.
I support the Second Amendment, and I support reasonable gun safety laws.
Oh, there you go. Reasonable gun safety. Yeah, we know what you mean by that.
Part of my approach to this is I was a career prosecutor for most of my career. I have personally prosecuted homicide cases.
Yeah, and you sucked at it,
I have personally looked at autopsies. I have personally seen what assault weapons do to the human body. And so I feel very strongly that it is...
Notice she says assault weapons there, but she's a gun owner, you guys. She knows what she's talking about. She prosecuted. She looked at autopsies.
Consistent with the Second Amendment and your right to own a gun to also say we need an assault weapons ban.
There you go. And that's why I prefaced, again, I haven't seen this. I just know their talking points so well. Assault weapons ban, weapons of war, semi-automatic firearms is what they want to do. They don't even know what the hell an assault weapons is. The term that they just throw out there now.
They're literally tools of war. They were literally designed to kill a lot of human beings quickly.
Yes, that was the purpose. I'm so tired of people going, well, semi-automatic or automatic firearms kill people really quickly. That was the whole purpose. That is literally the purpose of the firearms we created, was because it's difficult to hit a moving target, and the more rounds you have in said gun that could shoot faster, the more likely you are to hit the moving target that's trying to kill you. Yes. Oh, man, it's unbelievable.
I say we need universal background checks. The majority of NRA members support that.
There is background checks, but remember, you guys, she has a firearm. Makes me wonder if she went through a background check. Of course she did. Everybody does that buys a firearm. So tired, we need universal background checks. There are background checks. There's a lot of patriots here that are gun owners. PT-302 is a freaking veteran of World War II. Neil's in here that's a veteran. We got a lot of people in here that are veterans. I'm a gun owner. Yes, you too, a background check. We all had to do it.
Why? Because it's just reasonable. You just might want to know before someone can buy a lethal weapon if they've been found by a court to be a danger to themselves or others. You just might want to know.
You just might want to know. But I don't want to take your guns, but I want to take your assault weapons. You see, and I'm telling you, we always say this. We always say this. It's astonishing. There's no connection by the Democrats or progressives. No connection whatsoever. That what she's talking about. I don't want to remove your guns, but then 2 words later, assault weapons. This also went viral over the weekend. Speaking of knuckleheads, you had Dana Bash of the State of the Union over there at CNN, I believe. The same lady that gives softball questions to Democrats, but gives hardball questions to the Republicans like J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. Well, J.D. Vance wiped her with the floor over the weekend. And this was also a clip that went viral. And of course, we're going to watch the interview here. She sits there and goes lax on Democrats, but she tries to act like a little, you know what, with J.D. Vance here.
Them. Kamala Harris opened the border, and now these people are suffering. That's what I'm focused on, Dana.
Senator, I have to go through several things that you just said. First of all, the Clark County Sheriff and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources reviewed 11 months of 911 calls. They only identified 2 instances of people alleging Haitians were taking geese out of parks. They found 0 evidence to substantiate those claims. Also, other evidence that you have talked about, even you've retweeted alleged evidence, are unsourced social media videos from a different city, apparently no connection to Haitians. And this is from a conservative activist who offered a $5,000 reward for such things. And then going just backly to the schools and the hospitals and so forth being overwhelmed, nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio, needs help. But you're not just a bystander. You're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools,
this is supposed to be
buildings
unbiased. This is supposed to be unbiased news, folks. CNN still, to this day, has not come out and said that they're a left-wing media outlet like MSNBC has done. At least give MSNBC some credit here. I call them MSNDNC. Well, you see how she's handling this? She has not done this with Kamala Harris. She has not done this with Joe Biden. She hasn't done this with anybody that she doesn't interview with on the Democrat side of the aisle. Only Republicans. And Democrats don't see through it, which is astonishing.
Evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs.
She's been going on for a minute here. A minute. And she's the one that's doing the interview.
Why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot of employers there who say that the Haitian workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator, this happened after you and President Trump were on the debate stage, said that cats and dogs were being eaten.
You asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it. What we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems?
Isn't it amazing that she wants to talk about him responding to his constituents, which is his job, by the way, of bringing up something that they're saying that's clearly a massive problem that they're dealing with, or at least some sort of problem they're dealing with. But again, she doesn't care about the children. I'm going to bring that up till I'm blue in the face. I'm going to bring that up until ever. They're not wanting to talk about the 320,000 children that were sold to slavery, forced labor, sex trafficking. That's how disgusting these media outlets are.
Because some psychopaths are threatening violence, we can condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Now, let me just fact check a couple of other things that you said, Dana, because it's important. You said that all of these migrants are in the country legally. They are in the country through what's called temporary protective status.
Right.
That is when Kamala Harris waved a magic amnesty wand, taking people and giving them legal status. That is not to say that they're here legally. That is a terrible indictment of her amnesty policies that have further opened the border and further caused terrible migration into this country.
You might not agree with the policy, and obviously you don't, which is totally fair and legitimate. There are policy disagreements all the time. But the fact is it is the law because President Biden and Vice President Harris are. But I don't want to frankly go down this conversation about policy
Dana,
because
you made a point. You don't. I agree. You don't want to talk about policy.
No,
Dana,
what I want to talk about
instead of about the fact,
Senator,
that
it was
Harris,
your distraction.
Dana, granted amnesty.
You were the one who started
level.
talking about eating dogs and cats.
Level.
You were the one who brought this up. The president said it to 60 million people.
This is supposed to be unbiased news, folks. This is not. This is propaganda. This is puppeting up the DNC, the Democrat Party. They're sitting there rubbing the shoulders of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's dead-ass feet. This is the stuff this is disgusting.
Cats, and I talked about it because
I want to get to the viral moment where he slaps her upside her damn head. I mean, he's already done it multiple times already, but
because you were ignoring this community. My constituents talked about it.
Have you been
it's
to
my
Springfield?
Responsibility to surface their concerns when the American media
Have you been to
ignores it.
Springfield?
Dana, I've been to Springfield probably 100 times in my life.
How about
I've taken
recently,
my children
since
to
you've
get
heard
ice
this?
cream at Young's Jersey Dairy.
Have you heard recently since you've gotten these calls?
Have I been in the last 4 days?
No,
I'm
talking
haven't been
about
in the last 4 days, but I've.
Where was she with Kamala Harris going to the border? Where was she when Joe Biden wouldn't go to the border? Where was she for the years that people were begging them to go down to the border? Where was she when you had East Palestine, Ohio getting hit with that train derailment and Joe Biden hadn't gone for years? Neither had Kamala Harris. Where was she then? You notice it's astonishing how all of a sudden, well, have you been there recently? Have you been there? Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. That's not the point.
Since you've gotten these calls from the constituents.
Dana, and they're telling me this stuff is happening. Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this? So please ask a question, and I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes, I am, and I think that.
Now things are bad. Things are really bad. If you're waiting, folks, I do have the updates on the Donald Trump second assassination attempt. I'm going to give you all the news that we know about currently, folks. So just hang with me real quick. I want to make sure we get to the other news as well. Donald Trump's news is big. Don't get me wrong. But I want to make sure that we preface a lot of stuff so you are fully geared going into the other podcast today, knowing what else is going on, because a lot of people are going to be talking about the Donald Trump assassination. There's other news out there that we need to get to as well. So we got Lindsey Graham here saying U.S. is a warning on living on borrowed time from another 9/11 attack. So we have here living on borrowed time. What he's talking about here is the fact that there's 1,000 plus terrorists, according to the CIA, that's currently living in the United States right now. We had an Iran in a box. The first one of things that Biden did was let them get back into the oil business. We're at 300,000 barrels a day when Trump left in terms of Iranian oil, 1.3 million now a day by the Iranians. We're allowing them to build things back up. Like I said, the Iranians currently are building up their nuclear installations to build a nuclear weapon, which would wipe Western civilization or Israel off the face of the earth. And not to mention, again, we have terrorists living here right now. We've gone as far here on the show to talk about how there's terrorists from Benghazi living here that the United States knows about. The United States is actually embedding, basically housing terrorists presently in the United States. We know what license plates they're driving, folks. We know where their kids go to school. And the United States is allowing it to happen. It's wild stuff. It's disgusting stuff. So Lindsey Graham was out there doing that. Furthermore, this is the wild part. We also have updates on the prior. Donald Trump was just almost assassinated again over the weekend. And we're still talking about the first assassination attempt. Check this out. The U.S. Secret Service had numerous security breakdowns. No shit. On the day that would-be assassin opened fire on President Donald Trump, shot him in the head, right? The Washington Post reported that officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity said the Secret Service had an alarmingly slipshod strategy. My question has always been, at what point do we say this is beyond negligence? This was done on purpose. At what point are things so bad where we say, hey, you know what? They actually sat there and did this on purpose because they didn't want this guy to survive. At what point do we do that? Because there's no way in hell you have this many security failures or lapses without it being done on purpose. That's my question. But we can't ask questions like that because we'll never get answers. We still haven't gotten answers from this. The Secret Service officials plan to use flags, you guys. They plan to use I'm trying to keep it together. Use flags to block anyone from having a clear line of sight from President Trump. How about using drones and bodies? How about getting people on the rooftops? When you have average citizens like myself going, hey, why was there nobody on a roof that was pointed directly at the president, parallel to him, on the day of, that was 150 yards out? Why was there nobody on there? The roof was slanted. So was the roof where the freaking Secret Service agents were on. However, the resources that were deployed were not used to the position of flags in a way that would block a line of sight on Trump. People are idiots. Mind you, there was rumors out there that one of the lead Secret Service agents never even passed their exams. Investigators found that there were significant discrepancies between how the Secret Service operates for political candidates versus sitting president. Oh, well, we saw that a little over the weekend, which we'll get to. The fact that Donald Trump still doesn't have full security measures set in place. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Among the chief differences, the Secret Service uses a robust communication system for presidents and vice presidents that is supported by the U.S. military, whereas for political candidates, the agency just uses basically handheld walkie-talkies, right? A command post for event communications that is separate from local police assigned to the event. Lovely. Lovely. Billions of dollars we're paying our hard-earned money to go to this organization and just falling through the cracks. And they did a great job over the weekend. But boy, oh boy, can you imagine 2 security failures back-to-back like that with shots fired? The investigation found that the Secret Service command post had no way to receive real-time alerts. That's so unbelievable. From local police surveilling the crowd and outer perimeter. Nobody fired. Nobody was fired. Please let that sink in. Not a single person has been fired. She resigned. Miss Cheadle resigned, probably with full pension. And she'll get a job somewhere, right? She'll get a job out there. It's no big deal. We still don't know any motive, right? They cremated the kid's body without nobody knowing about that. We don't know anything, which is astonishing. There's government cover-up happening, folks. I really do think there is. There's no way in hell there's this many lapses, this many failures, without somebody doing some weird foozery going on. You also have Howley here, where Biden-Harris administration's pressuring, this is why I think so, folks, pressuring Secret Service not to comply with the assassination probe. Let that sink in. You want to get answers, but yet your own government is pressuring the Secret Service to not comply with the assassination probe. We talked about this last week. This is not news to us, but yeah, Josh Hawley coming out here and on Matters World.
Telling you now.
Matters World, Waters World on Fox News, talking about how the fact that the government of the United States is stopping information from flowing regarding the prior assassination attempt on Donald Trump.
Whistleblower reporting. What are they telling you now, Senator?
Jesse, what I'm learning now is that the lead advance agent that day in Pennsylvania, this is the agent that was in charge of Trump's entire trip in Pennsylvania, that this agent actually failed one or more of her training exams when she first joined the Secret Service. I mean, the pattern that is emerging here, Jesse, from whistleblowers who've come forward to me now over and over again, is that the Trump rally was undermanned, it was understaffed, they did not have people who had experience on it, and now this advance agent, I'm told, may have failed one or more of her training exams and was known not to be a top quality agent. I mean, this is absurd, and the fact that the director will not level with the American people about what's going on here is just totally unacceptable and unbelievable.
Director Cheadle, we know, had a priority to make 30% of the Secret Service women. So this woman fails, maybe once, maybe twice, maybe more, and doesn't matter. Cheadle still makes her in charge of the protective site detail for Butler, knowing that there was an Iranian threat.
Yeah, see, this is what's so hard to understand, is that if this individual had failed one or more of her training exams, if she was known not to be really one of the Secret Service's top agent, she's in the Pittsburgh office, why was she put in charge of the entire trip, Jesse? I mean, the whole thing. She was in charge of the whole works from the time the president landed to the time he went to Butler. It's just totally inexplicable. And Jesse, one other thing. I'm told by people who are close to and have knowledge of the Secret Service's own internal investigation that the Department of Homeland Security is leaning on the Secret Service not to comply with document requests to Congress. I mean, this is really getting to be outrageous.
Somebody's hiding something. I've been saying it. Somebody doesn't want information to get out. Little weird. And who runs the DHS? Oh, it's Alejandro Mayorkas, the same guy that told us the border was secure. And he directly lied to Congress to their face, specifically Jim Jordan, multiple times. The same guy that allowed millions of people to pour across the border. The same guy that sat there and lied to his own Border Patrol agents about the amount of people that are being let loose into the interior of the country. Folks, this stuff, there's something shady going on. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is, but I hope it comes out, because no way in hell the government's trying to cover this up without us finding out at some point or another. We'll find out. Oh, we will, because we got boots on the ground. We got people They're outside of Congress trying to figure this whole thing out.
American people need the truth here.
Yeah, there's a cover-up going on. Now that's definitive.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you. It's always nice to have a little bit of confirmation bias, folks. I'm glad somebody else is seeing it. Now, we had that taking place, right? We're not even that far away from Donald Trump's initial assassination attempt to just yesterday. Just yesterday, we went live. We talked about this. If you haven't checked that episode out, folks, we have like 200,000 views on that bad boy over at Rumble. Rumble's taking care of us. It's by far our biggest video we've ever done. Palm Beach shooter was targeting Trump, exchanged gunfire with Secret Service. Now, there's a lot of stuff that hasn't come out. We got the guy's name. We know who it is. We saw the backpack. We saw the rifle. He put plates up. So I want to walk you through what we know, folks. I want to walk you through everything that was detailed yesterday. Donald Trump was playing golf. Matter of fact, Sean Hannity was invited to play golf with the president. And the president was 1 or 2 holes back from the bubble of the Secret Service. So Donald Trump's kind of in the middle, and they had an advancement crew go forward to kind of scope things out to make sure it's safe to go ahead and hit a golf ball on the next hole because these psycho Democrats want to kill the guy. Well, a Secret Service agent notices, and I can't believe this guy even noticed this, an individual sitting there poking a barrel, an AK-47 to be specific, through a chain-link fence with a full-blown scope on it. Not like a red dot from my understanding. This thing was an actual scope, and he was about anywhere from 300 to 500 yards from the president. With that style scope, you guys, that's not that far. If that Secret Service agent had not seen Donald Trump would have been within 150 feet of this individual with a full-blown scope. We got lucky. Donald Trump got lucky that guy missed in Butler, Pennsylvania, because he had a red dot, which is still a shoe-in shot, by the way. I don't know how he missed. I mean, I understand Donald Trump turned his head, and thank God that happened. But this guy was 150 yards, would have been, from Donald Trump. Shoe-in shot with that type of scope, that type of rifle. He also had a GoPro because he wanted to get a POV shot of him trying to assassinate the former president. Furthermore, he had plates set up in front of him on the chain link fence to sit there and be able to engage with Secret Service in case something were to happen. We have Brian Stelter. We have media outlets covering this. Now, the Secret Service did shoot back. The Secret Service, thank God, fired around 4 to 6 shots. We're still unsure if the shooter actually got any shots off themselves. The shooter fled. An individual got a picture of the license plate along with drone footage, allegedly, and we're able to track the guy down. So here's CNN. I also have other outlets that are covering this as well as the interview. Let's roll it.
So, I mean, I'll caveat this with this is unfolding rapidly. So all of this information is preliminary and it may shift and change as we've seen before. But what we are looking at is starting to come into focus a little more sharply. So this is what we have right now from law enforcement sources who have been briefed on this. And it appears that around 2 o'clock, shots were fired at the golf course, possibly coming from the tree line while former President Trump was playing golf. The Secret Service identified the direction and the shooter returned fire at that gunman who fled. Witnesses were able to provide a description of an individual and a vehicle. We are told that a vehicle that is close to that description has been stopped by Palm Beach County police, possibly in Martin County, just over the line, and that they are holding that individual for the purposes of identification.
Now, Jeremy asks a great question in the chat over at Rumble. Who told the new assassin where Trump was because his golf outing was not on the record, which is true. That was also echoed by Secret Service behind the scenes, releasing information to Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino released the fact that Donald Trump's outing was not a diversion. There's a specific term that they use for that, where Donald Trump was not being released in terms of the information of where he would be on that specific day and time. It's called an OTR. It's called off the record. And here, I brought it up in real time for y'all. This is Dan Bongino's tweet here, where he said, looks like it was an OTR off the record movement for President Trump. Security is handled differently for OTR movements, and this policy may have to change moving forward. The Secret Service loses any element of surprise with an OTR movement with President Trump because he's so recognizable and his in-town schedule can be predictable. So this kind of answers one of our viewers' questions here of he's a main person. I mean, you can see the security detail, folks. There's choppers flying around. You kind of know where he's at, and people know when he's in town. Look, he's Donald Trump. You could see his entire motorcade pulling up. So working with contacts now to get an accurate information, I will provide a thorough update on his show today. So make sure when we're done here, he goes live about an hour or two after we do. Make sure you check out Dan Bongino. I sure will, because he has a lot of information from behind the scenes that we ultimately don't get. Now, he did call out the fact that there would be another assassination attempt because of the failures of the Secret Service. This was just about a couple weeks ago that Dan Bongino actually said there's going to be another attempt. Here we go.
Opinion, is the Secret Service in a better spot today with Director Rowe in charge?
No, it's worse. And sadly, I'm glad this is all being recorded, because when something else happens, and I hope it doesn't, I pray to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that I'm wrong. That you play this and go, look, that guy was crazy. You think this is the last incident, you're out of your mind. We have seen these incidents over and over.
There you go, folks. You are living in unprecedented times, obviously, with everything that happened with Donald Trump, right? Going after him with these court cases, trying to assassinate a guy, trying to put the guy in jail. I mean, the list goes on, fabricating evidence, making up hoaxes about the guy. You've never seen stuff like this in your lifetime. No American has. And now the fact that just in a matter of 2 months, this guy's had multiple assassination attempts on his life and has survived both of them is head spinning. And guess what? In a couple days, the media is not going to want to talk about it. It's not even big news. It's so insane that we're talking about a guy that survived 2 assassination attempts, a former president surviving 2 assassination attempts. The media doesn't give 2 bleeps about it. It's wild. I want to make sure I get more information out to you guys than just what I gave you. We actually have the Democrat sheriff here. Trump didn't get full protection because he's only a candidate. I'm going to play the interview that we played yesterday as well. It's always good to refresh our memory. He's holding up the image there of the plates, the 2 bags. The plates were the protection, allegedly, from oncoming gunfire to the shooter. His GoPro's on the fence to get a POV, and the rifle sitting there as well. Let's go ahead and play a little bit of what that interview looked like.
Because we're in constant contact with them all the time. We were notified of that, and we had units here that immediately sealed off the area. Fortunately, we were able to locate a witness that came to us and said, hey, I saw the guy running out of the bushes. He jumped into a black Nissan, and I took a picture of the vehicle and the tag, which was great. So we had that information. Our real-time crime center put it out to the license plate readers. And we were able to get a hit on that vehicle on I-95 as it was headed into Martin County. We got a hold of Martin County Sheriff's Office, alerted them, and they spotted the vehicle and pulled it over and detained the guy. After that, we took the witness that witnessed the incident, flew him up there, and he identified as the person that he saw running out of the bushes and jumped into the car. Now, in the bushes where this guy was is an AK-47 style rifle with a scope, 2 backpacks which were hung on the fence that had ceramic tile in them, and a GoPro, which he was going to take pictures of. So those are being processed right now. The Secret Service agent that was on the course did a fantastic job.
Kudos to that guy, by the way. Again, the fact that he saw this guy set up in a tree line with a rifle poking through the fence. I mean, if the rifle's being poked through the fence, it makes me wonder if the guy had a view of Donald Trump and that he was going to fire. Or else, why have your rifle poking through the fence already?
What they do is they have an agent that jumps 1 hole ahead of time to where the president was at. And he was able to spot this rifle barrel sticking out of the fence and immediately engage that individual, at which time the individual took off. So that's what we know about the investigation. We have somebody in custody right now that is a potential suspect. We got a little bit more work to do on it, but as we usually do, as soon as we decide that we're going to book him into the county jail and the charges that he's going to be booked into, we'll get those to you and we'll get a picture of him and we'll get you his background. So now I'm going to turn it over to the representative of the Secret Service, and he's going to make a brief statement.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I first want to thank all of our law enforcement partners, to include the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office and the Martin County Sheriff's Office for their involvement today. Former President Donald Trump is safe and unharmed following a protective incident shortly before 2 p.m. on Sunday at Trump International Golf Club at West Palm Beach. The U.S. Secret Service personnel opened fire on a gunman located near the property line, and this matter is under investigation. I'll turn it over to my partners over at the FBI.
So I want to also bring you guys more updates here, not just from the interview yesterday, but also currently what's being stated right now by Fox. The individual is being named as Ryan Wesley Routh, alleged gunman of the Trump Golf Club. The 58-year-old man is accused of pointing an AK-47 at former President Donald Trump. That makes me wonder if, in fact, he was going to get a shot off and that he did see Trump maybe through his scopes. Again, I cannot confirm that, but when they say pointing the AK at him, it makes me wonder if he did have Donald Trump in his line of sight. This individual was arrested shortly after the incident, which we know authorities said Secret Service agents fired at him after seeing the muzzle of an AK-47, which, again, astonishing job to be able to look at that. It looks like this is the actual individual sitting in the back of the squad car. I don't know who got this image, but this is a hell of a shot. I don't know what reporter got up close to that, but I guess he's a native of North Carolina, where lists of arrests include simple drug possession, of course, driving without a license, expired inspection, operating a vehicle with no insurance, typical. Remember, this is white guys for Kamala, folks. I'm all over the place today. I got a lot of news in my mind, my head. This individual was, we covered this yesterday, an individual that donated through Act Blue to the Biden administration. He has tweets that we covered yesterday talking about how he doesn't like Donald Trump. He went after Tulsi Gabbard. He went after others. There was a short interview that we looked at where he was talking to ABC while he, I believe, was in Ukraine, a Ukrainian fighter. There's been a background check on his name by officials, and it revealed that he currently lives in Hawaii and has faced dozens of run-ins with police, stretching all the way back to the 1990s. So clearly this guy's off his rocker, obviously. He moved to Hawaii in 2017, records show. He has since launched another construction company in Hawaii that builds simple housing structures for homeless people. This does not appear to be some random guy with an AK-47. That's obvious. And the incident broke out. We know all this stuff, fled in an SUV. So again, that's the most up-to-date information we have regarding this individual. Again, this is a Biden supporter, but the media won't say that, right? They won't say Biden supporter tries to kill former president. Both of these guys, almost every single assassinator out there for the United States in terms of history has almost solely been Democrat, by the way. They won't bring that up. They never bring that stuff up. They never want to make their party look bad. Again, the party of slavery, the party of the Ku Klux Klan, the party of almost every single assassination attempt on a former or sitting president. They never want to bring this stuff up. The same party that was for anti-civil rights. If you didn't have the Republicans, folks, this country would look totally different. Republicans are the ones that led the way every single time to make this country a better place. Now, Donald Trump came out and said, I will never surrender. Thank God, Mr. President. Can you, it's amazing to me. It really is. And again, obviously I'm a Trump supporter. Obviously I voted for him in 2016, 2020, and obviously I'm going to vote for him again. But look, you guys, bias aside, this dude does not have to be running for president. He doesn't. He's a billionaire. The dude is putting his life on the line, man. And Democrats are like, I want Kamala. I want Kamala because she's going to give me free things. This guy's out here taking bullets. Assassination attempts. His life is on the line. And you know what he did? This comes from Sean Hannity and actually witnesses. The guy sits there, right? Gets tackled by Secret Service agents on like the 5th hole. And he goes and he's chauffeured off. And his first thing is, how's everybody else doing? I forgot the guy's name that he's golfing with. I think it was like Mike or Steve or something like that. He's like, how's everybody doing? Is everybody okay? What's going on with everybody else? Like, Mr. President, are you okay is the question. We need you in that Oval Office, buddy. Okay, I understand there's people around you, but it just shows the type of guy he is. Not just putting his friends and family and everybody else first, but putting Americans first. Kamala doesn't do that. Kamala puts the Iranians first. Kamala Harris puts the Taliban first. Kamala Harris puts the Houthis and Hamas first. Kamala Harris puts the Ukrainians first. Kamala Harris puts everybody else first, then actual American citizens. I'm going to go on another rant here. Donald Trump said, I will never surrender. You know, this was very similar to the fight, fight, fight stance. Again, the gunshots was kind of going viral yesterday. Gunshots in the vicinity. He said this, there were gunshots in my vicinity, but rumors are starting and to spiral out of control. I want you to hear this first. I am safe and well. It kind of gets you choked up a little bit, to be honest. Nothing will slow me down. I will never surrender. I will always love you for supporting me. Unity, peace, America, make America great again. I could barely even read that. I got goosebumps just reading that. And I don't lie to you guys. I'm you know, you get the little pricklies everywhere. That's how I feel right now. I will never surrender. This guy could be on the beaches of the Bahamas with his feet in the sand and living life with his family, doing excursions, traveling the world, not having any problems, but he's putting his life on the line multiple times now for this country. I don't see Kamala Harris doing that. I don't see Joe Biden doing that. Joe Biden's on the beaches of Delaware kicking his feet in the sand. 40% of his time, at least, has been spent on vacation. Kamala Harris hasn't been doing anything for this country, although the media will say, she shows up to work every day to answer your kitchen table issues and take care of you. For 3.5 years, haven't seen her, and my kitchen table issues have only gotten worse. Now, she comes out, speaking of Kamala Harris, and says, violence has no place in America. Others respond after gunman targets Trump. So she comes out with this tweet that's displayed right here. I have been briefed on reports of gunshots fired near former President Trump and his property in Florida, and I'm glad he is safe. Violence has no place in America. Yet, aren't you the party of Black Lives Matter? Aren't you the party of Antifa that targets conservatives, Republicans in restaurants and any public areas and goes after journalists like Andy Ngo? So much so that actual books have been written about them. Aren't you the party that sat there and burned down places like Minneapolis all across the country? Aren't you the party that actually took over city blocks like Chaz and Chop and then told us during the debate afterwards when you're trying to fact check Trump that wasn't real, when in fact it was? Matter of fact, we even talk about it in my book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. Get yourself a copy, links in the description. But you understand what I mean. It's astonishing. So you got JD Vance saying, I'm glad President Trump is safe. I spoke to him before the news was public and he was amazingly in good spirits. I mean, it says everything about this guy, right? Even Sean Hannity came out and gave a little bit of a more behind the scenes, saying that Donald Trump not only was asking how everybody was, but also cracked a joke later on saying, you know, I could have gotten a birdie on the hole. I want to finish the hole. He was doing well. It's such Trump fashion, right, to sit there and make a joke. Still much we don't know, but I'll be hugging my kids extra tonight and saying a prayer. Can you imagine how just on edge his family has to be, folks? Can you imagine his kids, Donald Trump's kids, knowing that every time he goes out and does anything that somebody could potentially harm him? Lindsey Graham just spoke with President Trump. I'm getting choked up. He is one of the strongest people I've ever known. He's in good spirits, and he is more resolved than ever to save our country. And the media is going to suppress this stuff, folks. The media is not going to allow this stuff to get out. Maybe right now they will, right? Because they're forced to cover it because everybody's talking about it. You got Adam Schiff, very distressed to hear that an armed... Oh, sure. Shut up, Adam. This guy's from my home state. This is one of the most evil people in all of Congress, by the way, and I really do believe that. Very distressed to hear that an armed individual showed up at Trump's golf course and glad that the former president was not harmed. Remember, these are all the same people, right? These Democrats like Adam Schiff, they're all the same people that call him a threat to democracy. He's a threat to the republic. He's going to destroy the country. He's going to throw the Constitution in the trash. He's going to lead us into World War III. He's going to destroy everything that you've ever created for yourself and your family. But yet they come out, oh, you guys need to change your rhetoric. We'll get there. Oh, we'll get there. This madness has to stop. Violence is not the answer to political differences. Well, it's your party doing it, asshole. It's your party that's going after it. And it's always been your party going after former presidents. Like I said, you can maybe make one case of one assassination in U.S. history that wasn't done by a Democrat. And that's kind of a stretch, but you could do it. Almost all of them have solely been part of the Democrat Party, the progressive side of the aisle. Almost all of them. So don't give me this, oh, like there's no violence or anything. Why don't you talk to your own party? Why don't you get your asses out there as Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, John Kirby, Anthony Blinken, hell, all of them, Ian Sams, the White House counsel, everybody, DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, John Kirby, hell, everybody out there, Jake Sullivan, Karine Jean-Pierre, Adam Schiff, Ilhan Omar, get everybody out there, part of the Democrat Party. Why don't you get your asses out there and start talking to your own people about stop acting like idiots? How about that? Because we all come out and say, hey, January 6th was stupid. Why don't you idiots not storm the Capitol? How about that one? I like the people that were outside that had the actual permits for going through this. So they had a right to be there. We have Terry Collins with 99 cents over at YouTube. Greatly appreciate, Terry. Thank you so much. And also a member, a badge next to your name. Greatly appreciate, Terry. I always see you in the chat. Love having you here. So shots fired. Here's Donald Trump Jr. But the other stuff I want to get to is what the media is saying. These people are disgusting, folks. These people are disgusting. Lester Holt off the top rope, blames Trump and Vance for the assassination attempt. It's astonishing. Like I said, they're not going to go out. They're not going to go out and sit there and blame their own party. They're going to sit there and blame the rhetoric that comes from the media and the Democrat Party. No. It's our rhetoric that has to change, right? That you heard from Joe Biden. It's our rhetoric that needs to change, not them. The reason why I say that is all but like 48 hours, 72 hours later, Joe Biden's back to calling us a threat to democracy, and so is the media. So here they are, just literally not even hours after Donald Trump had another assassination attempt on their lives, saying, oh, it's basically their fault.
Assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail itself. Mr. Trump, his running mate J.D. Vance continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio. This weekend, there were new bomb threats in that town. Our Maggie Vespa is in Columbus, Ohio, with more.
Lester, simply put, Springfield, Ohio has been inundated by threats. Over the last several days, closing government buildings, schools, hospitals. Today, effectively closing a local university campus after administrators said someone threatened a mass shooting targeting Haitians. This in light of, officials say, a false online conspiracy theory alleging Haitian immigrants in that city are eating people's pets.
So it's just astonishing stuff from Lester Holtz, right? Sitting there already trying to change the narrative and everything like that. Well, we also have authorities release new info about this assassination attempt on Donald Trump. You have the sheriff's department saying that Secret Service put out the call that shots had been fired, at which point a witness told authorities that they saw the person running. Now in the bushes where this guy was with an AK-47 style rifle with a scope, 2 backpacks, which were hung on the fence. Again, these are the ceramic tiles that allegedly would have kind of blocked bullets if he were to engage with Secret Service, which it sounds like he did. A GoPro. And again, they had pictures of all this stuff. The Secret Service agent that was on the course did a fantastic job, which is true. I'm still astonished that this guy even found this guy. Because you're on a golf course, right? You wouldn't expect an assassination attempt, but now you just got to expect everything, right? What they do is that they have an agent that jumps. Oh, we already saw that part. Jumps hole to hole. We also have this right here where wife of Trump impeachment witness downplays assassination attempt. No ears were harmed. We covered this yesterday. This is insane. There was a tweet yesterday, and her name is Vinman, and I want to see if we could find the tweet itself. We did cover it yesterday, but she did say something along the lines of, no ears were harmed. Oh, here we go. No ears were harmed. Carry on with your Sunday afternoon. Like, folks, this isn't like days after, months after. This is just mere minutes after Donald Trump had another assassination attempt on his life, and these people are posting this type of stuff. So this is the wife of former impeachment witness against President Donald Trump in 2019, downplayed the second assassination attempt on Sunday. A lot of people were doing this. There was mainstream Democrats coming out minutes after this took place saying that we were lying. I had people in my chat, Democrats in my chat while I was covering this live, where literally the outlets were saying, assassination attempt. We're going, oh, this is all lies. You're making this up. It's all fabricated. This is how off the rocker these people are. Her husband, a candidate of Virginia 7, should condemn immediately. Well, he's not going to. Why would he? Why would he? Why would they sit there and condemn that? Because it wasn't just them, folks. Everybody was coming out, including this MSNBC suggesting it's the Trump campaign who needs to tone down their rhetoric. Not the Democrat Party, not Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, or anybody else calling this guy a threat, Hitler, and everything like that. They don't need to turn down their rhetoric one bit.
Do you expect there to be calls from within the Trump campaign to do that? Because he's going to reach out to his supporters and say, let's take this down. We do not know, again, the source of any gunshot or gunshots. We don't know who's responsible for this. The whole thing has yet to be 100% confirmed from start to finish how this all played out. But do you expect to hear anything from the Trump campaign about toning down the rhetoric, toning down the violence, or would that be atypical of the former president?
Well, Alex, remember back to the assassination attempt on President Trump's life and how, there was talk of a new tone, and then the Republican convention was, by Trumpian standards, muted. And it did seem like he was, just trying to take it down a few notches. But then by the end of his convention speech, we were kind of back to where we started. So I don't know how long this could, this moment of unity for the country where we come together and we say, I don't want any political opposition to be under threat of violence. It's not okay, any threat of violence, we don't want. I would love for...
Jesus, she can't even get a freaking sentence out of her mouth, clearly. Again, I'm not on TV, folks. I'm not trying to give myself a pat on the back here. I'm just an average Joe like all of you, just with a camera and a microphone. I'm not trained in doing news outlets or anything of the sort. But it's like, can you stop? Like, well, he should tone down his rhetoric. Can you just get a thought out of your damn head? How about you look at your own party? How about you look at the rhetoric that's coming from them? And I'll give you an example right here, just on cue. Democrats here, just minutes after this. Let's just play it. I want to know what you guys think. I don't want to sit there and lead it on. This is after Donald Trump's assassination attempt. Check this out.
I talk about the fact that when we swore in finally in January, that we swore to defend against those that are coming against us, whether they are domestic or international. And right now, I feel like MAGA in general, they are threats to us domestically.
This is after the Trump assassination, and we need to tone down our rhetoric. Really? Really?
And we see it time and time. I feel like MAGA in general, they are threats to us domestically. MAGA in general, they are threats to us domestically. MAGA in general, they are threats to us domestically. And we see it time and time again. And I think that's why you see so many national leaders, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, coming together to say there is only one person qualified to be the commander-in-chief.
That's insane. But don't worry, guys. That's the talking points. You need to change your rhetoric. You have to change everything you say, not the Democrats, right? Which, again, after the first assassination attempt, were already out days later calling him another threat to democracy. Trump is Hitler was trending on Twitter yesterday after the assassination attempt. Don't give me this crap that we need to change our rhetoric. We're not doing anything wrong. We're just calling out the mistakes and the terrible policies that the Biden-Harris administration has done to run this country into the ground. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. Patriots, I couldn't be more than happy that you chose our outlet to continue to get your news from. I do want to give a shout out here to a sponsor, if that's okay with all of you, before we end today. And that is where finally we're beginning to see legitimate alternatives to big tech companies in all spheres of society. Now, anytime you have a fundraising need, start a campaign on Give, Send, Go. Give, Send, Go, and invite your community to stand with you. Give, Send, Go has become the #1 choice for so many who were not given a voice because of what they believed. When other platforms silenced, Give, Send, Go came in and stood for freedom. Absolutely right. Give, Send, Go is a family company that shares your values. They are the only fundraising platform with a hope team of dedicated individuals who are personally call every campaign and praise for them and their situation. We need more prayer in this country, especially for our president. There's even a prayer, you can pray button on every campaign page too, so anyone can offer a kind word to those who are raising funds. With 20 fundraising categories, currencies in over 80 countries, and more money in your pocket, go with the platform preferred by Jordan Peterson, Kyle Rittenhouse, and Eric Mattis. Give, Send, Go. Again, that's Give, Send, Go, folks. Make sure you go ahead and check that out if you're looking to run some sort of campaign. A great way to offer up prayers for those in need and taking care of our country. But Patriots, I appreciate everything you do for our show here. I appreciate those that gave their hard-earned money, that became new subscribers, both on Rumble as well as X, hell, and even YouTube, folks. Always greatly appreciated. We'll be back here tomorrow with more updates, more information, more, hopefully, information about the second Donald Trump assassination, as well as other news. Patriots, take care of yourselves. Pray for Donald Trump. Pray for this country. And Patriots, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.